your scotch yet?
You know, I drank a lot of scotch this past 2 days, so I bought my father-in-law like Japanese single malt, and so Japanese whiskey. Pretty good stuff. Pretty, and we drank half the bottle in one, in a couple of hours, and so I was hurting really bad. I was like, oh my god. I'll count us down, and let's go ahead and count the podcast down in 3, 2, 1. Nando, welcome to my house.
Awesome.
Welcome to PlayMariachi. How's it going?
It's going good, buddy. Thanks for inviting me to your home, beautiful home, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get
thanks
your
for
level.
having me here, man.
Make sure your levels are good here.
Awesome.
Let's see if I can get this a little closer to you.
Oh,
About a
right.
fist away is where you want to be. Check. All right. That's good. So for those of you guys that don't know, Fernando Valencia, old school mariachero from Tucson.
I'm an old fart.
Well, I wouldn't call you an old fart just yet. We'll stick with old school. How about that?
Okay, sure.
We'll do old school. I like old school stuff. I was raised by, so my mom had me at a very late part in her life, her late 20s. So all her friends and all their kids, they're all older than me. You look at my friends, like Alex, Louis, but all these guys are older than me, like by like a high school kid older than me, right? Like 4 or 5 years older than me.
Right.
They're all the people that I most get along with and hang out with. Just older folks. It's a little bit weird. But you're here in Phoenix now.
Yeah.
This is kind of a surprising thing. You texted me and I was like, what the fuck? He's here in Phoenix?
You know what? It'll be 2 years in September. This is like home away from home. I'm here Monday through Friday on a project that we're doing in Glendale, the Desert Diamond Casino.
Nice.
So it's a monster project, and yeah, Monday
Just
through
up
Friday.
here,
Yeah.
looking for mariachi in all the wrong places.
I called you. I heard you were here, and I said, you know what? Yeah. I said, man, where can I get some mariachi scene?
I was like, go back to Tucson.
Yeah, and you know what's sad, Jason? As I told you before, is I called. I have some primos here, and I said, hey, primo, where can I go? It's bored here. I don't have anything to do here after work. I just hang out. Wait till the next work day. Where can I go see some mariachis, live mariachis? If there's any during the week, thinking that a city this large might
There's
be.
got to be a venue. There's got to be something.
And it was sad. A few of my cousins said, you know what, Nando, good luck. I don't think there's anything during the week. And the ones that you do find, if there is, he goes, they're horrible.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh, that's sad to hear.
Man.
Yeah,
he's not lying. I mean, there are certain people in the city that I like and that I respect and that I don't really shit on, and only in a friendly way, right?
Yeah.
They play good, they sing good, they know a lot of rep, they have good technique, they have families that were kind of pioneers for mariachi music here in Tucson, and we found in interviewing some of them that their family members, like their fathers and uncles, they were close with guys like Cuco del Cid. They were close with people in Tucson in the 70s and the 80s, and then at some point in the 90s, it just diverged. And you had people that are just kind of just stayed with whatever they had, and then of course Tucson is Tucson and has always been like the mecca of mariachi music in this part of the country, in this part of the world, really, because everybody knows or has a Tucson story.
Oh yeah,
everybody has one. I don't care, even if you're not a mariachi, you got a Tucson story.
You bet. You betcha.
So Nando, you're a violinist.
Yes, sir.
And I really wanted to kind of just talk about some of the history and some of how you came up playing mariachi music in Tucson, because everybody knows you. You're a great violinist. You're a great musician. You're fun at gigs. Almost everything, and you're just easy to play with. And
thanks for saying that. But yeah, I started playing violin at 6. 6
like
years
most
old.
of us.
Yeah,
really young.
We, the gift of having my parents were a musical family. Hearing my mom and dad play the guitar there as we were little, and my brothers, started who are older than me were engaging in playing music. So just growing up listening, hearing my dad teach them with the guitar. Mom and dad played the guitar and they would sing. So every weekend it was like a party at my house. People knew, cousins, tios, let's go to the Valencias. We know there's always fun. They would break out our instruments.
Right. There's going to be food and music.
Yeah,
And alcohol.
Yeah. And I remember one time my dad came home with a bunch of instruments. And, drums, cello, trumpet, and all kinds of cool stuff. Just like he got this ganga somewhere. He came with this camper full of instruments. Pretty much one of them that was left was like the violin, and I was thinking, oh man, violin's for girls, for sissies,
The fiddle.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm glad I picked it up. It was one of the last, because my brothers took the other fun instruments, I thought, and so just hearing music, playing little matchbox cars there, hearing the music, hearing the medley, and I just started to pick it up. Self-taught. However, I do got to credit my brother Jaime. Man, you know what? I think that's one person that doesn't get enough acknowledgement as far as for who he's taught. He's taught a lot of these people out there that are doing great today. And he picked up the violin too, and he taught me the basics and how to get going. And with that,
basic scales.
Yeah,
learn your scales. Learn the fundamentals.
It was old scale, exactly. You know, he painted my fingerboard with nail polish. I remember I said, "Man, this is weird. This is more for sissies." You know, but,
it's like, what are you doing to me, man?
So just growing
never
up
gonna get laid with this instrument.
Just growing up around music with family, all ear. I wish I could read music. I can't read music, and I admire those that do, but I don't think it's a necessity to be successful with music.
No, you have a lot of musicians that never. Well, I always shine back to like Cuco del Cid. You know, he was not a collegiate. You know, he would ask me many times, and he'd ask all the students like this chord, that chord, but he would memorize everything. He'd hear everything. He had great pitch, but he wasn't like necessarily. You know, the music on the page wasn't always the easiest thing for him. I remember that, but he was a great musician.
Yeah. Oh, he's. I've had the opportunity to learn from him and be taught by him on some techniques and some exercises. He's one of my mentors, highly respected by me.
He was a great mentor.
Oh my gosh,
great mentor.
Just good person overall. Good advice, good mentor. Outstanding virtuoso musician.
And cared.
Yeah.
Cared about the music. Cared about how you looked, how you sound.
Yeah.
And he could hear you. If you were down, he'd hear it down the line.
Yep.
That's not right. Yeah. He was like, just give you that
so I'm
look.
glad I've had the opportunity to have him in my world. You're right, man. He had a keen ear. Just guys like him. You know, you throw a sheet of music in front of me, I'm lost. I hear it a few times, and I could slowly fudge through it. You know, but that's my handicap. I can't read music. You know,
interesting.
And I've tried learning it, but I'm kind of ignorant, saying.
I could always help you with that.
Yeah,
I had to learn it. That was part of my upbringing too, is because my family is like yours. They're all musicians. So my nana's dad came from Hermosillo, and obviously he brought the guitar, the bass, the piano. He was a virtuoso, kind of like you were saying, your dad. He knew all the instruments, but he didn't read music. He never studied it, so he just brought that music with him when they migrated to Los Angeles. My nana was born in Boyle Heights. And so all her sisters and her brother, they all grew up playing guitar, piano, bass, and accordion.
Yeah.
So I grew up with my nana playing accordion and piano in the house and singing. But like they're completely ignorant of notation and music.
Wow.
They have no concept of what it even is. But they hear something, they're like, oh, like there's just a live feed to being able to play any instrument. So yeah, I grew up like that. And then playing orchestra, it was a little bit of a struggle for me too. It's like, man, music is there, but when I got to playing mariachi music and playing guitar in particular, all of my peers were chord builders. They could all read, they could all sight read, they could build chords, they could do scales. And that was it for me. I had to learn it.
Yeah.
I had to at least be on their level in some way. And then it just kind of went further because I went to college and studied it formally. And, I'm not a composer. I'm not an arranger. I never was a songwriter, but it's like, yeah, you can learn the basic stuffs of chords and scales. And I don't know. They say it's harder as you get older to learn things like that. And honestly, learning music, it's worse than learning math. Like, it's worse than I remember learning algebra. And I was always good at it, but the way they teach you it, it's a drag. It really is. It's like you can't make some of those things fun. Like you have to start early, and then it's like, okay, now you get it. Or you take a college course, and you're like, fuck, all right, the interval notation, this, that, the other thing, and you learn it that way. They force feed it down your throat. But it's fun. So you start playing violin as a kid, all of us in a family. When's the first time you joined a mariachi group?
It was till about 8 years old. There was a little mariachi that was formed for St. John's, Mariachi San Juan. Oh, gee, back in the 70s, early 70s, right there off 12th and Ajo. And I used to go there every Sunday and play with just a variety of musicians for the mass. I hated going there because I wanted to sleep in. I wanted to just,
that 8 a.m. mass
be
sucks.
outside, be outside playing. But it's like, no, you got to go. But you know what? As I started getting older and learning more, it's like, you know what? This is cool. I'm getting better. So it started out with just playing at church at St. John's, and then Mariachi San Javier was founded, and it was a good thing. It was a big group, 12, 15 members, a youth group with intention of scholarship, kind of like those Changuitos Feos. Matter of fact, Mariachi San Javier and Changuitos Feos were kind of like
little competition.
Exactly. Those were the only two in town, and there was a lot of heavy hitters in both those groups going on at that time.
Yeah, it seems like everybody comes from one of those branches in Tucson.
So it started out with Mariachi San Javier after that, where we actually had trajes now, and tocadas, gigs, and out-of-state little, bookings. It was fun.
Yeah. And
then that dissolved, and I tried for those Changuitos Feos, and I didn't make it.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Okay.
Well, fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, it was back during the time when, like, I remember Israel was in it, Freddy Alvarez, and
man,
good guys.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah,
heavy
was
hitters.
fun. It was that era, and it wasn't necessarily that I didn't make it. I guess there wasn't any room. And I did a few gigs kind of with just black pants and a white shirt. And I said, man, it sucks. I want to try. I want
to be a member.
Yeah, so I got
performing member.
So they never gave me that opportunity to just say, okay, you're full fledged, we're going to get your traje. So I just kind of just said enough.
Yeah,
and I pulled out of that, and then
there's a lot of kids. I have a podcast tomorrow. And one of my friends, and she's going to be the first lady we've had on the podcast, and I noticed that, like, man, we don't have any chicks on the podcast, like, to have that perspective. There's a lot of women in mariachi, and I was like, it's only a matter of time before they're like, yeah, it's only for guys, huh? I'm like, no, we want to have women on here too to talk about their story. But I remember she was in changos, and then she was out of changos. She never made it all the way through for the same kind of thing. It's like, man, it's a weird fit. Even the people that are members, I remember being a member my last year. I remember as much as I praise that organization today for giving me all the opportunity it did, right? The mentors, the gigs, the experience, the teaching, the college money, everything, 100%. And I still remember being a senior. I'm like, this kind of sucks at sometimes, right? Because you got to be in the gigs, you got to be going to the restaurant, you got to be going to the rehearsal, the practice.
Yeah. It
was kind of a jam, and I know a lot of people either didn't get their chance to do it, there was no room, or some people were like they just couldn't commit to that kind of schedule. It was a busy schedule. I remember every weekend they got us doing something. Yeah. Traveling, going out of town, playing local gigs, playing free functions, playing church. Yeah. It's like, shit, when am I going to get a chance to just sit down and watch Saturday morning cartoons again,
exactly.
man? It isn't going to happen.
Yeah. But once it's in your blood,
you're screwed.
You're screwed. Exactly.
You're screwed.
And it's a beautiful thing. Music is a beautiful thing, and I wouldn't trade mariachi for anything else. It's just I think mariachi musicians. I know this is being biased here. Are probably one of the better type of musicians out there, because we can play
anything,
and we could hear it. We could back up an artist on the fly. It's like. There's a lot of talent.
It's very unique.
It is.
I've seen classically trained people.
Jump in with a symphony. You could do.
Yeah. They can't go backwards. Like a symphony violinist is not going to necessarily have a pace and a rhythm for syncopation and for off timing and for folk music and for articulation that's not written on the page. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's difficult for them to feel the music. Yeah. That's something they teach at like college graduate level. Like if you're a classical guitarist, right, and you spend 18, 20 years just din, 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 just every cadence, everything, right, mechanical, right? Then they get to a graduate level, and now they're talking about emotion. They're talking about feeling, and these they don't have it. They've never felt, the pain that Schubert was having. They never felt the fu-ness and Bach's, and Mozart's going against the church and writing things, and they never felt what it's like, for Beethoven to be losing his hearing. Yeah. They don't know, they don't have the feeling of Moonlight Sonata in their blood, right? We have that. We have the feeling of Paloma Negra. We know what that feeling is. We hear our aunts and uncles singing that music and playing that song, and then you grow up and you get your heart fucking smashed, and you have a bad ex breakup, and she's with another vato, and you're just like, shit, man, where's that music that I was been playing since I was 14? Now I'm starting to hear it a little bit differently, right?
Yeah. So as I say, this music, it's a beautiful thing. You know what? And I've seen a lot of changes in it.
Yeah,
you know?
Me too. We were talking about some of these changes.
You know, and
we might get into it in this one.
Yeah, a lot of changes. You know, I come from, you know, back in the day. Your learning was listening to
records,
Vargas,
yeah,
old, you know, and you know what, Jason, I think that is lost to some degree, a high degree. I think we need to go back to listening to these older recordings,
the 70s.
Exactly.
Fiesta in Jalisco, the early 80s.
That's my favorite album.
Oh shit.
Yeah. You know,
that's kind of like a prerequisite. It's like if you're going to be high school, college, performing 18, 19, 20, 30, if you don't know what Fiesta in Jalisco is, then what are you doing?
You hit it right in the money.
What are you doing with your life?
We need to study those, the sound, the techniques. That was, especially because I couldn't read music, that was my learning right there. And I think we've kind of lost that. I see that diminishing a lot with our youngsters. You know,
playing gigs. I remember being green. Like we talk about that. Like when you're like from high school to a kid to an adult, you have a period of time where you're still kind of green. Even if you're a prodigy, you still don't have that repertoire and that kind of like solid. I got it.
And see,
right?
here's the thing. I'm just gonna not sugarcoat nothing as best as I can.
Please don't.
I'm not trying to hurt anybody's
Put it out there,
here,
man.
But
you can say whatever you want.
What happens? what I'm seeing, these are just my observations on everything in this conversation of things here. It seems to be like a lot of our youth. Once you graduate high school from a mariachi program, once you graduate out of Changuitos Feos or any other youth group, not picking on any groups in particular at all. That's not what I'm out to do. It's like, I'm a professional now.
Oh, you're a badass now.
I'm a badass, you know. I'm, you know, no, you're not. You need to still learn how to play Las Mañanitas first, the right way.
Like you go to a group, it's like, oh, we need you on third. It's like, oh, I never played third. It's like, you're a first violinist. You should know all the parts.
You know, and yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
You know, and people think, oh, if you play first, you're better than him. You know what? Playing first, second, and third, you're just as good because those are intricate parts. It doesn't matter what part
you need all of them.
Exactly.
You need all those parts.
But that's what I'm seeing a lot, you know, from these youngsters. It's sad because that's our future, and that's, you know, as far as, you know, carrying this saga of mariachi music for years and years and years. Everybody thinks you're a professional as soon as you graduate. Even when you graduate and you've been doing this for a while, to me, professional is a real critical word. You got people need to be careful how you say that.
It needs to have meaning.
You know,
you have to be a student. You have to be a student your whole life. You have to dedicate yourself, and you have to have discipline and respect.
That's the thing. Respect and discipline is the biggest one too. Respect and discipline; those are up here. Respect yourself. Respect your instrument. Respect your music, and respect others, and just have the discipline to carry it through.
Show up. Yeah. I know a lot. I've seen a lot of playing. I used to play with Tapatio in Tucson, and you see a number of young people that that they recruited into that group, and for the most part, they were all real on point people. And you'd have occasional misfires, I'll call it, where it's like they had a momentary lapse in their discipline, where they didn't come to practice prepared, and you can tell, and you're like, well, shit, okay, this is all kind of a waste right now because these parts are not ready to be polished, right? We're trying to do some chrome plating right now, and you haven't even gone through the primer. Like, you haven't even looked at your music. It's like, we have a guy who's writing this shit for you, and you're just neglecting it. There's times where there's gigs, right? They show up and they're just like, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me, or oh, my girlfriend cheated on me. Like, I don't give a fuck. Put some of that into the playing and the emotion, and it'll come out, on stage, or it'll come out of the gig and stuff like that. Just unprepared, right? So then, are they professional? No, they're still kind of learning. They're in a safe environment to learn. I don't think we had that safe space. Yeah. Not necessarily.
And
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we had to get out there with the sharks and learn the hard way, right? Learn how the gig life actually functions.
And see, exactly. And that's where that word kind of, I think people just use it too freely. I even question myself about being a professional. I feel I'm a professional within myself. I know my instrument, and the harder it is, I'm going to make sure I get it. Right. I'll practice till sun up, sun down, to make sure I got it. I'm just
get your parts down.
Real anal about making sure I have it. I'll do whatever it takes, So I feel I'm professional within myself, but I think we all have to all of us need to question ourselves. Are we a professional? Think about what we do on weekends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're warriors. We're just weekend warriors sometimes, you know. And
we're not full-fledged members of the Hell's Angels.
Yeah,
we're just we're just Harley Davidson dentist bike riding guys and shit.
You know, we show up to tocadas. Here's always been my line: if you have a black traje, back then it was a pager, but or phone now, you're in business.
Yeah.
Can you play 3 hours here? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're gonna get paid the same.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna get paid the same.
I'm a professional. You know what? It's okay to be. You know, there are professional musicians out there, yes.
Yes.
But here's my point. We got to put standards on ourselves.
Yes. Self-imposing. Yeah. I always tell people, look at the mirror. Do you like what you see and hear in the mirror? I don't always. I often look at I do these cover songs. I'm like, that fucking sucks. It's not going up on YouTube. Yeah. I don't care how much time I put into it. Yeah. It's not right. It's not making the cut. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Exactly. You hear people whine and bitch. Oh, this guy, this girl, this person, this group, this... I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Where are they at that next day playing, gigging?
Yeah.
Well, then if you're going to be bitching about it, shut up and
just
don't
do your thing.
It, you know?
Yeah. What about you, man?
Yeah.
Where are you coming from? What are you doing, right?
So exactly. What I mean by standards, Jason, is we need to put standards on ourselves. Mm. You know, you deserve that. We deserve that as individuals. You know, do you want to be standing to people that smell like weed? Do you want to be standing to people that have botonadura de plata looks like they just got out of a, train wreck? Yeah, there you go. You know, do you want to be next to people that don't wash their traje? Ask Maria, when was the last time you washed your traje? Probably 6 months or more.
Yeah, more.
You know,
a couple years.
We sing in them, we sweat in them, we fart in them. Nobody washes their traje. Look good. Clean your boots. Clean your uniform. Fix your plata if it breaks. You know, iron your shirt. You know. And that's what kills me. It's a free-for-all, you know, and you call yourselves professional? Set a standard. Don't be a sangron. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that I think I'm better than anybody. That's not at all what I'm trying to do.
You could have the best-looking traje, but...
Yeah, but exactly.
You have to have both your game on, right?
Yeah. True. And I go out there, too, and I'll be gigging, too, but, because I want to play, you know. But I make it a point where I'm not going to do that just solely every time, you know.
Yes.
But because
I remember when you were playing choices, you know. When you guys were playing the Trio Clásico, I mean, you guys look good, sound good. You guys always together.
It's fun.
It's a nice rehearsed ensemble.
Thanks.
And that's, I mean, for the economy in Tucson, for 3 or 4 or 5 grown dudes trying to just make a group out of it, that's really good. I mean, it sounded good. You know what I mean? It sounded powerful. I mean, you have to be selective, right, about who you're bringing in, attitude, commitment, ability, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a nice, healthy blend of all that stuff.
Exactly. It's the chemistry has to be there, of course, and everybody could be good at what they do, but if you can just gel it together and perform as an ensemble, where it's just you're in sync, And that's the thing. I see too many people kind of tug-of-warring with each other sometimes, Everybody wants to be the loudest voice. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you want to buckle down a little bit and soften up your feelings there to let the voice do its job, especially when you're playing outside, because we're...
You have to be considerate.
Exactly,
Giving to your fellow musicians, right? And supportive.
Exactly,
Not
all
sabotage.
you want to do is jam, sometimes, and like I said, the bottom line is everybody deserve standards. Put some standards. Yeah. No, I'm not going to go do that with these clowns or whatever.
I'm not going to take that gig.
Yeah, it kills me showing up to a gig to go help out whatever, and a guy gets his box and gives everybody the same color tie. I don't play that game. I'm not going to wear somebody's stinky, smelly...
Cologne-written, Abercrombie, Finch's, asshole
tie.
It happens a lot up here in Phoenix, and I have ties that I keep nice.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, well, those have a use, and then they go. You can't keep them forever, right?
Exactly. So it's like but yet there I am. I like playing.
You like to play. That call of like, hey, I could go and fiddle around and have fun, or it could be a shit show, and I'll still get paid for it, but I'm gonna go home
after
and
the dollar, and that's the problem. As soon as I'll pick on our youngsters. Once they start making $30-$50 an hour,
it's addictive.
Yeah,
I remember my first gig I got paid for was a Serenata at 6 a.m. with just a couple of friends of mine.
Yeah.
We were all in Chongos. We weren't supposed to be gigging for money, But as soon as like one of their friends were like, "Hey, my tia, my uncle, this that," I'm like, "Yeah, let's get some guys together. Let's go." We all got up. Well, actually, we were. It was a Saturday morning, so we were out that Friday night. We were not supposed to be, but I'm old enough now. I got my own house. I can make confession, right? So yeah, we were partying the night before in a house, and then it's like, okay, well, let's get up from the party and go play the serenata. So we had our drake, we had all our stuff, and so we went, and I got paid like $60 just to do like a 4 or 5 song gig for a serenata, and I was like, oh shit. We can do this. Yes, and I remember I was in Changos, and then we started playing like a little bit Maria Suiza, a little bit the Maison, a little bit the Casino, here and there. We were not supposed to be doing this, but we did it, right? And we get paid $40, $50, whatever, to go play gigs and do whatever. And that was like, oh man. And yeah, you have that feeling of I'm a paid professional now. It's false. It's wrong. You're still a student. You're not even an amateur yet.
Yeah,
you're not even in the Golden Gloves yet, man.
I'm always on that learning curve, and that's exactly it too. That once we start making that dollar, and keep in mind, people are hiring you for your service. Show up on time for one.
Yeah, be on time. I've been guilty of being late here in Phoenix.
It happens, with traffic or whatever. But
I remember clicking on the wrong link, and I went to a different address. Some of my compañeros that are listening, they're like, yeah, Jason's always fucking late. Like, no, dude, I clicked on the link and it took me to the next gig. And thankfully it was only 10 minutes away, but it's like I didn't have enough margin to get there on time.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, all right, well, I better really play. Yeah. It's like, don't show up, like, fuck, I missed it. And then you start playing like shit, and you're like, just get out of here, dude. It's like, nah, man, I'm going to play and we're going to have a good time,
Yeah. And, so, people are hiring you. Give them that service. It's a disservice to them when you fall short. You show up sloppy. You show up stinky and dirty. You show up late.
Yeah.
Give it the best that you can, the best energy you have. Clean your instrument. Take care of yourself.
Instruments is a very important thing between you and I.
Oh my gosh, I'm super anal with my violin.
Yeah, my guitars. I'm like, I don't even like to let people touch my shit.
Well, thanks for letting me touch.
You
awesome.
Being the exception, I know that you're on that same level of appreciation, right? I mean, that's one thing is the instruments. Mariachi instruments are very interesting things because you can have a full-fledged symphony level violin or a concert level classical guitar. The real big difference is these things: the guitarrón, the vihuela, the harp. Those are anomalies. They're big anomalies, right? Because they're not going to cost you $8,000, $10,000. In some cases, violins can go for a mortgage or a couple of mortgages. You know what I mean? I mean, the instruments, choosing, like, what is your kind of take on the mariachi instrument, the repertoire we have, right? I mean, you have everything from a concert level violin to what would be considered a concert level bass. There's such a large disparity there. You know what I mean? So how do you go about picking the right instrument for the gig? I mean, you have a violin that you might use for your own personal, collection. Like I have guitars here that I don't take to gigs.
Yeah.
They're just mine. I make videos with them, or if I get called to do a stage performance, I'll use them for that.
Yeah, I'm real selective too. I have a violin collection and I have a couple of very valuable, expensive violins. I'm very particular in where I take them. If it's going to be outside, don't even think about it.
Yeah, not even.
Yeah, and it's to the point, not trying to sound sangrón here, but I don't like playing, like at cemeteries, because you're in the blistering heat.
Yeah.
And if I do, I make sure I wear a kind of a throwdown traje because I know I'm going to get full of grass. It's just for that,
Yes.
But I'm real particular. You're absolutely correct as far as, hand picking where you want those gems to show up.
Yes.
Because they're so valuable. I mean, they're expensive, and people don't understand that. And when I break a string, I'm kind of anal with even like my tires. I hate having a mismatched tire.
That's like
but I don't do that all the time with my truck. But when I break a string, I have to change all of them. There's like an even flow, even wear. I could feel it.
And violin strings are very expensive.
It depends, But yes, the ones I like are ridiculously expensive because I don't see why, but they're great strings.
Right.
And I won't use anything else but those strings, and it gets pretty costly because I like to replace them all at the same time.
All the same spot.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I looked at a violin and strings, I was looking at strings that were $40 to $50 per string.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that seems very expensive.
No, yeah,
that's about right.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. I guess I'm not playing the violin again.
Yeah, you can pay, $150 for strings.
So I tried to take out my old
strings.
violin to practice it, right? Because I just felt like, so let's just see how good I can get. And then I was like, these are all out of tune. And I can't even tune them. I go to the violin shop in Scottsdale. Yeah, there's some that were like, I think the cheapest one was $25. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, that's $100 for a new set.
Yeah.
I don't want to play violin that bad, man.
But I'm sure you want the best for your guitarron there, right? The best strings that
like
you can.
The best for the guitarron is like maybe $35 for a whole set of 6 strings.
Wow, I'm jealous.
I know. And classical guitar too. I mean, I mix and match my classical strings, and so per set, I'll buy 3 trebles from one company and 3 basses from another company, and they're like $3 a string. Even like the nicest, best, like the nicest set, maybe $30 for a classical guitar.
Wow.
But they don't last. They last like a month. So you can't keep up that pace.
Yeah.
If you're playing a lot, these things last maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, and that's about it.
Wow.
They're not going to last much longer than that.
And see, it goes back, it goes back to what we were kind of discussing earlier as far as, professionalism. There's guys that don't even carry extra strings. Buy rosin, buy valve oil, buy extra strings. You break a string,
you're screwed. The gig's
come on,
over.
Fix your gear. It kills.
It kills
it. And you call yourself professional?
You're slacking.
I don't get it. And it's just, I think where I've seen a big change is that it's too much. Not everybody. This isn't pretentious early, but there's a lot of us just go have fun and make money.
Yeah.
And
that can be. I mean, it can be fun.
No rehearsals.
Oh, Jesus! I like to rehearse. I really always have pushed. Like, let's have 2 rehearsals a week. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, no, I can't do that. And like, I understand now being a professional, like a working professional. I have a day job. It's like, yeah, it sucks having to get out of the office at 4:30, jam down the highway, get to someone's house by 6. Like that's real commitment, right? And when you get there and not everybody's there, that's when you start to cut your own losses. You're like, shit, I can't keep doing this, right? I can't keep sacrificing my time. Where's the other sacrifice coming from, right? It's all falling on you. But you kind of came up playing mariachi music in Tucson in the 80s and 90s. And so what kind of groups?
70s, 80s, and 90s.
So but by the time you were like in your 20s and 30s, like that's like your prime, starting to learn and get a sense of who you are as a person and a musician. Like, what time frame and what groups were playing?
Well, after that youth era, my brothers and I, we formulated our mariachi group, Mariachi Valencia, back in the day. We were a powerhouse.
I've heard of this
group back then.
A lot of the parents of peers of mine played in that group.
Yeah, Alex Garcia was our trumpet player.
Yeah.
And
a lot of friends of mine, when they were kids, they looked up to that and they wanted to be part of like Valencia and Clásico and all these things.
And then after that, I formulated Mariachi Clásico, and that was a powerhouse. What a lot of talented individuals in that lineup. We're 8 to 10 piece, and we were hard hitting.
That's all you really need.
Yeah,
you need 8 solid people, and you can change the whole scene.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted us looking good. I got us a couple of sets of trajes or sombreros, and let's saddle up and let's do this thing. And we were a powerhouse.
Take
it was
over.
Going really good. It was fun. So that was early 90s, and that kind of took a turn. Lost a couple of good members that took over, which was great for them. And then it was kind of hard to keep the loose ends there. Then
it's like I grow these people and they get taken.
Yeah. But in a short here, great musicians, very talented individuals, but it was kind of like keeping a bunch of wild horses in the corral too.
A little bit, I imagine. You're not going to get all that good without some of that craziness, right? It's like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay, but like the level of shit that I'll talk to people in the group, like we'll be in a group thread and we'll be texting each other, and I'll just be like, you this, you that, you this, and it's all in fun, right? But then some people are like, Jesus, man, he's brutal. Talk about your dead grandma, man. It's awful.
But we did good. We did traveling. We backed up artists. We'd done really good. Like I said, we were a powerhouse. And then it was just, I feel like cops and robbers, and I have a zero tolerance for certain things, and it's like,
that's it.
Enough
of that, right?
And so it's, I don't know if it's being a police officer kind of made it even a little harder but I wasn't about to put up with,
because you can't turn your head away from certain things, right?
Exactly.
There's an underbelly to our culture. We haven't really touched on it that much on the podcast. There's a little bit of an underbelly to people's, habits, bad habits, not just musically, but like lifestyle habits can be bad.
See, Jason, I mean? Exactly. And that's a topic that needs to be exposed, and people need to wake up to that. It's not a party. Yes, go have fun. Do good. Enjoy the crowd. And, you're an artist. Go out there and do your best. But it's not a party at other people's expense, going and drinking all their beer and then going on break and smoking pot. It's not about that.
At somebody's venue. Putting somebody else that hired you at risk, right?
And it's that, is what is not that everybody has to be an angel. I get it.
Right.
But you know what?
Don't be a punk.
Well, do that shit when you're at home.
Not here.
Not on people's in uniform, because you're wearing the same uniform as I am. And
there's a stigma about musicians. I mean, you look at the 70s, 60s, the 80s. I mean, even going back to the 50s with Elvis. I mean, there's all this stigma about drugs and alcohol and musicians. It's like you can't escape it. Even if you're not part of that, it's gonna be part of the life. I remember being a kid, 19, 20 years old, and like, I'm not into drugs.
Yeah.
But plenty of people around me are. So I might as well fucking be part of the crew, because I'm going to be treated the same way if the cops show up, right? They're going to the only difference is there's not going to be anything in my system. But I'm still going to get treated the same way. We'll still get rousted, right?
Yeah.
It's still going to happen.
So
I went to Pueblo. I know what discrimination feels like, man. I'm not even I'm not even full Mexican, man, but I might as well be.
Well, yeah, you went to Pueblo.
I went to Pueblo, yeah. Get treated that way.
So it was hard, working as a police officer, being around that. And I think that really kind of made me say, I'm just going to kind of just tippy-toe around,
don't ask me. I'm not going to ask you. Don't tell me shit.
I don't want to be, and I said, I don't expect anybody to be angels, because I'm nobody perfect. But you know what? There's a time and place. If you're going to do something, do it away.
Yeah, don't do it
Don't be showing up, And it's just... kind of the nature of the beast, I guess. It's part of the element of being a musician. It seems to be, and there's no excuse for it.
Some people get taken by it. Yeah. I like to drink scotch. I'm not like every day I need a drink. I do like to indulge occasionally.
Yeah.
But I know people that they can't come home and not have alcohol. It's like shit, man. It's like, first of all, think about what that's doing to your health. You know what I mean, and to your heart and your liver. It's like you're not going to last long. We know many examples of our legendary players that didn't make it past their 50s and 60s because of that lifestyle.
It's sad,
some of the guys that we listen to, like, as shining examples of, like, guitarrón and vihuela and violin and trumpet.
One of our best musicians,
they're gone. They're gone. They're not here. They could be.
Yeah.
They could be here. They could be healthy, but they're gone. So that lifestyle can get you, but like, so in Tucson in the 90s, right? So you had Valencia, you had Clásico, the gig life. How has it changed from? Because gig life for us, I mean, we're not playing with cobre, obviously. We're playing gigs. We're playing chamba. We're playing tocadas. We have a wide variety of. We've been on stage. We've had powerful group experiences where there's a full group. We've done concerts. We've backed up artists and singers. We've been to the Tucson conference. And then there's the other end of the spectrum where you're just playing in someone's backyard. And you're playing in restaurants. You know what I mean? I mean, how has that culture, has it changed at all from when you were doing that to now? Because I still see people play chamba. I still do it. I still cover restaurants. How has that kind of changed, or has it changed at all?
As far as the element, as far as the environment where you're playing, that's the same. A party's a party, whether it's, to me, back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, it's the same quinceañera as it is probably now. You're just playing. What has changed is our musicianship. I think our repertoire is different. I think we're too worried about performing songs for other mariachis. We're forgetting about songs for the audience sometimes.
Right. Antonio Aguilar and old school songs.
People want to hear, even though God, they're boring as hell sometimes. Playing these same old songs, but that's what they want to hear.
Yeah,
they don't care about this fancy potpourri, about this fancy, intricate, virtuosity song. They want to party. Yeah, so the repertoire has changed dramatically, and I think that's where I see a change in music overall. The parties are still the same, but I think our repertoire is kind of different.
So do you think that hinders younger groups? Like Like if we were going to go, like, you know, guys in their 20s, maybe early 30s, late 20s, whatever, and you want to have powerful repertoire, right? But you leave out all the others. You leave all out of the songs, all of the standard rep that people want to hear. Does that hinder a group if all you can play is highbrow arrangements, highbrow stuff?
I kind of think so, to some degree. You know, we're too busy. I think it seems like not everywhere and everyone, but it seems like the mariachi era now is we're too busy trying to perform for each other,
trying to outclass each other.
You notice it on a lot of recordings. Even Vargas has a different twist. It's like, I don't know if I like that. It's like different.
They have a different sound.
I want to hear the Fiesta in Jalisco. They're badass still. No, my hands down, and I love their sound. But everything's different. It's, you know, and we have to go back to the basics sometimes. We don't care about it. Why does everybody feel they have to do a 20-song potpourri? Why can't you play a song from A to Z, stop to finish, the way it is,
and play it right?
That's the other big challenge.
You know, that's what I noticed about camperos when they come to town, to Tucson. They only play songs like that. I've noticed that from the last maybe 5-6 years when they have come to the Tucson. Carla, get down, dogs. When they come to Tucson, hey, get out of here. Come on, get outside. Go. You're ruining the podcast. He's challenging me now. You see this little guy?
Yeah.
When camperos come, they always play Paloma Negra. They always play like rancheras for like half of their set. And then occasionally they'll throw in something that's fancier and it's like nicer. It's like, but they understand that.
Yeah, and I say that when you talk to Joe Blow citizen, like family and friends that go to, hey, what did you think of the concert, whether it be the conference or a concert of these hard-hitting groups? You know what? It was boring. They sound fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was boring.
You know, I noticed that with this year. Did you go to this year's concert in the Tucson show?
No.
Oh, man. It was, I think the wife might be home. Maybe.
Oh.
The Tucson conference was a little disappointing because they had brought Mariachi America.
Okay.
And I mean, you would think that Mariachi America, that, you know, Jesus Rodriguez, you know, would be like, bam, would be awesome. And it just really wasn't. They played some of their arrangements, but I noticed they played them very poorly and unpracticed, unrehearsed. It was weird. It was really weird. It was bad. It wasn't good at all.
I haven't heard any feedback on. I didn't go out to the conference.
I was watching the armonia section, and the vihuela player and the guitar player. The guitar player is Don Jesus' son, and he's playing something completely different than the vihuela player. Like he wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
And I was getting upset. I was getting pissed.
Yeah. I mean,
I paid tickets for this thing. I'm like, come on now.
I
want to see someone way better than I could possibly even play to look up to. And I'm like, this guy is messing around. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So that's where I see a lot of the change as far as where the music's going. You know, it's great. Yeah, go there. It's nice hearing and performing those, you know,
big
high energy songs. Yeah, it's cool. But I think a lot of the recordings are now focused. The recordings seem to be focused more towards mariachis to buy in what they want to hear versus Joe Blow citizen. You know, right. I see it in a lot of the recordings now with a lot of big groups, great groups, and it sounds awesome. But the repertoire is just kind of, I think, getting different. Conferences, don't even get me started on that.
Well, let's get started on the conferences. Come on,
nobody's gonna like me.
What do you say? What are you seeing with the conferences? I mean, my conferences started like back in 2003 when I first joined the Changos, and it was like Las Cruces and Tucson. That was about it. It was a pretty nice time there. I mean, from the 90s to the early 2000s. I mean, we still had a lot of the old school influence teaching us, like directly teaching us. And it's like that was kind of like the last generation that had that.
Exactly, and you scored on that. And that's one of the.
I got lucky. You
sure did. And I got even luckier with you because back there we were students there sitting with all these, you know, legendary vodka, old school vodka. Even Silvestre came down a few times.
Oh,
you know,
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
To show you how it's done. How it's done right.
Incredible. You know, it's incredible, and that's one of my biggest concerns and gripes, I guess, is that we got people teaching that shouldn't be teaching. You
got students that are not quite at the level teaching other students.
There's a lot of damn good musicians down in Tucson that should be there before a lot of these. And I'm talking, you know, not just about our Tucson conference. From what I see and hear, from what little, I don't try to get too involved, you know. But to me, it's all the buddy system. It's all the buddy system. You know, and the conference, that's another thing too. Just like I described with our recordings, kind of focusing for mariachis. It's designed, it's more cut for the ear for mariachi. I think our conferences are about the instructors and about having fun. Why do we got to go there and practice these songs that are just hard and intricate when the kids, you know, you can't really relate that to the kids. You try to learn. What about the kids? Let's, even if it's De Colores all week, teach them that.
Teach them it. They play it right.
You know,
let me start. Carla! Quiet!
Someone breaking your house while we're talking, you don't even know about it.
You know what?
Stealing all your instruments.
Well, they're all in here, so whatever's out. This is
all that matters.
This is all that matters, right? Hey, sit down and be quiet.
But I think not everybody. There's a lot of good intent. I know there's some good people that run some things with it, but I think there's a lot of it it's just too much for the instructors and for fun. What about our kids? That's the focus right there.
Well, you would think
that
they would be looking, and I taught at a conference once, and that was really my focus. Is like, let's give, like, there's students that don't really know anything, and then there's some intermediate students that are like starting to challenge you a little bit, like, show me something. It's like, okay, I got some tricks for you. I'll show you some cool stuff. But then I'm helping the students with their music, and it's weird because, yeah, you would think that only people. I remember going to Albuquerque one year, and I saw the favoritism at that conference, and I don't give a shit who doesn't like what I'm saying. I saw it for myself. I was like, this is a fucking waste of time. And I saw, like, the people that were teaching. I saw that they themselves were not prepared with the music. Teaching the advanced level, right? Because there's a master's level, and I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck the point is of a master's level, because the whole audition process, I'm like, you already know who you want anyway. So just go out and say, I want you, and that's it. Or don't have a master's level, right? And so we went to advanced, and the people teaching advanced, I think we were playing Huapangos de Ruben Fuentes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some part in that potpourri where they modulate to like E flat and G sharp, right? That bump, like there's an E flat to G sharp, A flat, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the Monaco is pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal for guitar and violin. You got to be very well rehearsed with that, right? And I knew it because Tapatio played it. And I'm not going to fuck shit up next to Louis, so I rehearsed it. I want to make sure I got it.
You did your homework.
I do my homework, right? This person teaching, I remember both of them. One guy there was two vihuela players. They couldn't quite play it on time the way it was supposed to. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't say anything. I just sat there, and I'm trying to keep the kids that were in chongos at the time in line, because they're fucking losing their mind. They're getting bored. They can't handle it. And I'm like, why do they have it like this?
It kills me.
This is just 100% a waste of time and money.
It kills me. Get your top-notch people when they're doing that. And speaking of what you said earlier, and that kills me, another subject, because I saw an experience years ago. Why do we have a master's class? You know what? Nobody deserves that.
It's like fucking ego trip.
You know what? Because I heard a young man say, when another student came up and it was on break time, one of the conferences, hey, you want to come play a song with us that we're practicing? Oh no, I'm in the master's class. You know what? See, you know what?
Corregido.
Masters, nobody. That shouldn't even exist. And another thing that kills me is when did music become a competition? Are we the Olympics now? It's a sport. You won first. You know what? I'm against that.
Yeah, the vocal competition.
You're an artist. It's an art. You're an entertainer. That's all we give it your best. It's not who's first, second, and third, and hurting these poor kids' feeling that may have never scored the last 5 years.
Yeah,
it's about them.
I saw that at Tucson. There was some amazing showcases at the Tucson conference. These kids are pushing it. They are pushing it. They want to win. And I mean, Pueblo and what I heard, right? They won, of course. They won. And then I heard some people saying they've won 5 years in a row. And I'm like, well, shit. I mean, are they smoking it 5 years in a row? Because if they are, they're awesome. I was like, what I heard, I liked. I didn't hear any mistakes. I didn't hear any off keys. I'm like, and who's judging this shit? So is it the audience judging it? Is it like, I don't know. It was a little odd.
They're all winners.
Yeah.
I don't care if you could barely play a scale, and if you have to perform it, you're a champion to me. You should not be told you don't get your whatever.
You didn't make the cut.
You know, that's ridiculous. That shit needs to stop.
They shouldn't do that in that venue, because I agree that anyone who is there and participating should have that accolade. And then at the same time, I don't believe in everybody gets a trophy. So get rid of that competition shit.
What do they look forward to, Jason? They look forward to the jam session. That's the excitement for them.
Yes.
That's
a lot of fun.
They don't get to go and perform it as often as they should and show what they're learning.
And
often.
I've seen some very not cool things about the jam sessions. And I remember when I was in Chongos, there was a little bit of an underlying mischievousness that happens during the jam sessions. All right, you're a little bit free during that time, right? I don't like that we have kids that are trying to act like they're in their mid-20s and trying to go to the bar and trying to do this, that bothers me a little bit. And I mean, I should speak from my own example. I was at the bar there myself with my wife. But we're of age, you know what I mean? That's the thing about it. And for kids that are in that transitional period of like 18, 19, 20, 21, when we were that age, we stayed out of sight. We are out of sight. If we're not playing, we're not downstairs.
That's funny how you say that. And you know what? The casino's a great venue. It's fun. It's happening. It's excitement. But you know what? This is an educational thing from what everybody's preaching about.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do this at an educational place?
Go to the U of A?
Exactly.
Go to the university.
Classrooms. We don't need to be where there's gambling and booze and this and that and people acting stupid afterwards where these kids are seeing
It's
that.
not a good example. And I actually felt like that a little bit. I'm like, it's good that on the casino floor, you can't have children around. Mm-hmm. And so when we went out, to the casino floor itself, we could go get a drink. There's not a whole lot of kids at that time. But then I noticed, it's like, shit, there's kids running around the casino floor. I was like, well, that's odd. Are people not checking that these kids are not under 21? And it's weird. It's a little weird. And the party aspect has always been there. It was always fun. I remember when I was in high school, we looked forward to the afterness because
fun.
But we stayed out of sight.
Yeah.
I remember that if we were going to do anything that was not right, that was bad, if we were going to drink or whatever, we're 17, 18 years old. We shouldn't be drinking, but we were. We stayed out of sight. Mm-hmm. We're not hanging around downstairs in the mix with people. Like, we're trying to not get busted here, right? And I don't exactly see the same kind of behavior from those 19, 20, 21-year-old people. It's like, guys, stay out of sight with that shit. Right, we're not at a wedding. We're not. There's a lot of youngsters around. If you're an adult, you're an adult. What are you gonna do? Right, you're gonna have a drink. You're gonna have a good time, and that's a great time to have conversations with people and see stuff like that. But it's a little weird.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a weird dynamic being an adult now and trying to become. I had students there. Miguel Flores, the other guy, our friend here, he does the podcast with us, and he's a big contributor to this whole thing. We have students there. And so now we're feeling responsible. It's like, man, we have to be responsible for all these kids. Yeah. We have to be babysitting. So we can't have our normal fun and good time and go get a big glass of scotch, and we can't do that. Mm-hmm. Can't do that at all. And I noticed that all the instructors were the same way. They're like, we're here, we're responsible, we're trying to be an example for these kids, but you can't control what the 19, 20-year-olds are doing.
It's tough. Yeah.
Right? They're technically adults.
Yeah,
but they're not supposed to be in the mix right there, right?
Sure.
And they glorify that a little bit. It's kind of pissing me off, right? It's like the same thing about that ego trip about the master's class.
Yeah.
I don't understand the point of that.
Yeah. And it's funny, speaking of that word ego, it's been said, and I'm going to say here, if you're a mariachi, you have an ego.
A little bit.
And here's the thing on that statement there. Starting with me, everybody that plays mariachi, you have an ego. It could be this big where it's not even noticeable. You're very humble with it, or it could be ridiculously crazy.
Right.
You have an ego. We have egos. It's how you control it, and just we're proud. We want to be acknowledged for what we do good and how we look, and people love recognition. We all love we're hard working at what we do, but you know what? Be tamed. Be humble.
Right.
Quit being a coward and talking about everybody. I know I get in my high horse too, and I'll complain and start talking about this. I get pissed off and this and that. Sometimes, I gotta bite my tongue.
That's one thing about gossip, huh? Gossip can go along with ego. It can kill a group too.
Yeah. And it sure will.
It's like a cancer that you gotta cut out, man. It's awful.
And with that said, it kind of brings me back to an experience I want to share here, as far as back when 1990, when I was sitting there as a rookie in the police academy. We had a commander come into our class. There was like 60 or 70 of us cadets in this police academy. And he walks in, had everybody just scared shitless because he was just yelling and all this stuff. And had us at full attention. He said, "I'm going to tell you guys one thing. The way the I know I'm shifting gears here. The way the police academy works here in the state of Arizona, actually, I think all states, is that it's multi-agency. There was like 60 or 70 cadets in this academy class. There might be 20 TPD, Tucson police. There might be 5 from Flagstaff, 2 from Nogales, 3 from Phoenix, whatever. You all show up at the academy because you're all state certified. You go through the same basic training to be state certified to enforce and as a peace officer in the state of Arizona. So you're all you all show up at the academy wearing whatever agency uniform you're working for. So you're in this class with a bunch of different police officers, different agencies, and a commander comes in there and starts yelling at us, and he says, "I'm going to tell you guys one thing. Right now, there's 60, 70 of you, or whatever it was, in this police academy. Right now, you're all the best to each other. You're a team. You're like, oh, we're back then it was Elite 147. That was our class. Elite 147, we're badasses, Once you graduate and you go to Tucson Police, U10 here, you go to Flagstaff, you go to Yuma PD, whatever, you go to your agency, you go through your other advanced training. Now it goes down. It's called the asshole syndrome." He goes, "I'm going to teach you about the asshole syndrome." And I don't know if you heard this or not.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Well, and he goes, so right now in the academy, you're all together. You're all hoorah, you're all pulling together, even though you're all different, wearing different colored shirts. Once you graduate, once again, you go to your agency. Once you go to your agency, oh, I'm Tucson Police. We're badasses. We're the best cops.
Mm-hmm.
We're the best agency in the state of Arizona. And then from there, everybody else is an asshole. DPS is an asshole. Oro Valley's an asshole. This and that. Oh, that's how you start thinking. So then, while you're in the academy, while you're with your agency that you're working for, then you get sent to your substation. Oh, our substation, Southside, we're the badasses. We kick everybody's ass. We're the best cops out there. The East Side cops, the North Side cops, they're a bunch of weenies. All they do is take stolen newspaper calls. Well, we're kicking everybody's ass and going to jail. We're the bad cops. We're the South Side cops, even though it's still your agency. So you're bashing the other stations. Then you get to a squad. Oh, there's 10-man squad. Oh, our squad's the best. We have the highest call load, the most arrests. We kick ass. We're the badasses. Everybody else is an asshole. So then your squad of 10 goes down to one person, you. You know what? I'm a badass. All my other partners here are assholes.
It's an asshole syndrome.
It's it. And I see that a lot with mariachis. Mariachis in Arizona are the best.
Right. Better than Cali.
Yeah, the mariachis in Tucson are the best. My mariachi's the best. You know what? I'm the best in my...
I'm the best motherfucker around.
Yeah, everybody's an asshole. And you know what? Not everybody, but I see that same synopsis scenario going on.
It can happen easily. Even if you don't intend it to be, right?
Even if you don't intend... Like I said, it goes back to... We all have an ego, whether it's this big or that big. We just need to just police ourselves and just put ourselves in check. Again, be respectful, have discipline, and just... love what you do and give it your best, man. That's what I...
Give it your best. Be humble and give it the best you can.
Don't give up. It's a beautiful thing. Mariachi, I don't want to sound negative. Mariachi is an awesome thing. We've been given this gift of talent, a gift to deliver to the public, to the people. That's our jobs, to perform for them.
Preserve our culture.
Exactly.
Our history.
And we're forgetting about that. We're after, the $50 an hour because I'm a professional now.
And we do live in a tumultuous time where culture is a very fragile thing right now.
It is.
It can be easily disregarded, it can be easily misrepresented, and it can be easily forgotten. Yeah. We have an abundance of knowledge and history. I can put on my Xbox right now, go to YouTube, and I can watch Pedro Infante movies on YouTube that nobody probably my age or younger has ever even seen. And it's like, you're singing those songs, you're playing that rep.
Cool.
You got to be able to study that history. It's like, I'll never forget when I got bitched out one time playing with a group, and there was a cancionero, and he was totally badass guy, right? And I didn't know the rep. I just didn't know. I could build chords. I could do all this fancy music shit. I didn't know the repertoire. And he bitched me out for it. He's like, compra CDs, Jason, que chingado traes? You don't know anything, right? And so I started going to the U of A, and I started checking out all those CDs, vinyls, tapes, VHSs. They had all kinds of stuff about that. And now on YouTube it's there. But it's so easy for people to not even realize the resource they have. I assume there's a time in our country where mariachi music wasn't really in vogue, wasn't in style, right? I've heard stories of people in Texas that couldn't even speak Spanish in public. And in California, you couldn't even speak Spanish in schools.
True.
You know what I mean? Talk about a society that tried to bastardize our culture, and to think about our parents and our grandparents, our older cousins, our older siblings that may have had to go through that, to now just take the mariachi music and culture that they fought for granted.
Yeah.
And sterilize it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that now being an adult and now helping teach another generation of mariachis here in Phoenix, I don't think I can let it pass.
Yeah.
I don't think I can stand for it to get watered down. And I'm no great mariachi musician. I'm just a half-breed from Tucson. But I've seen enough of that culture where it's like, I remember, like you, getting up on the weekends, having your family there, having that tradition, and how special that is. Like, not everybody has that shit.
Exactly.
Not everybody has it in their family. I talked to a lot of other people, like, yeah, my tío was a bricklayer, or my father went to college, and we never had any of this.
Yeah.
Those are the people that hire us because they didn't have it themselves. You know what I mean? You got to preserve that. Nando, we've been talking for a little bit. I don't know exactly how long. I usually try to keep track of how long we're talking, but
I don't know, but I can ramble on. I don't want to.
I don't want to keep you, but if you want to talk about some more stuff, I'll pull some more topics up, man.
I just want to say a few things here, buddy.
Please do.
Is,
please do. I always do talking to you.
You know, one thing that's really important that I remember Cuco saying it is find a career. Don't just rely on mariachi music. If you do, God bless you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your wish. That's your passion. Everybody deserves that. But, you know, where we're going to be when we're 60, 70 years old, you know. I lost 2 fingers, had them sewn back on. I have arthritis now. I can't play like I want to play because I'm all messed up on my hand, but I gave it my best shot. I'm different from 20 years ago.
That's like a fear of mine.
You know,
oh my God.
Yeah, I have carpal tunnel, and
I wear gloves when I wash dishes. My wife makes fun of me. She's like, God, you're such a sissy.
Yeah,
I'm like, I need these to last.
Don't just do mariachi music. You know, don't just do that's my advice. You know, get something else going. And with the ending to that is, I have to say, what are you doing today to retire tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's music or whatever you're doing in life.
College, apprenticeship.
You know, whatever, even at your job. What are you doing today to retire tomorrow? Because if we don't take care of ourselves, right now it's fun, it's a party, everything's into that, just showing up and playing gig backyard parties or whatever, even if you're playing whatever more on stage. You know, where are we going to be when we're 70, 80 years old?
What happens when you get cut from that group?
Or that.
That happens.
You know, or we have an injury.
Or the group doesn't exist. Or you break a hand, you can't play. Someone comes in to fill your spot for a while. You
deserve that. Take care of yourself. Give yourself standards. You know what? You don't need to go down and to the bottom of the barrel and do these weekend warrior jobs where it's a wolf's den, and, you know, playing for pain in the ass drunk people.
Yeah, no.
You know, I
kind of won't do it. I myself won't do it. I'm like, I don't need to.
It's not about being sangron. It's about just being picky.
Yeah.
You know, you can be selective. You deserve that. Everyone out there deserves to give themselves that.
One thing about mariachi music, like you're talking about having another foundation, and I talk about this a little bit with most folks, mariachi music has been that bridge to finding other paths. Like, I have a lot of friends, educators, right? They're principal. Look at Carranza. I mean,
oh my gosh,
he's like the archetype of what a successful mariachi program can do for people, right? He's superintendent now. He's
of New York. Yeah, he's bigwig.
Yeah, he's super high profile.
He started with my brother Jaime.
Oh man, same mariachi group, same town.
Jaime taught him how to hold his instrument.
I mean, we have politicians, we have professional musicians, we have people that work in the arts, maybe not as musicians, but they work in other capacity. Engineers, business people, business owners. There's a whole slate of professionals that came out to now see. I know several young guys that are in their early 20s that opted to not go for college and opted to not even go for any other vocation. Mm-hmm. So they're, maybe they're working UPS or maybe they're whatever they're doing, right? I don't know what it is. That was always the thing in my mom's would tell me. He's like, I don't care how good you think you are playing guitar. Yeah, you're very talented. Big whoop. Everybody around you is talented. You're going to school. Mm-hmm. You're going to college. There's no question. Either go to college or you cannot live here. Yeah. She was gangster. My mom does not play around. She will support you 100%, but you got to put in those hours. I have my guitar. She's like, I don't hear.
Look where you're at now. I mean, you're successful.
I got a credit. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I can go. I've worked in industry for over 12 years. You know, I have my degrees. I mean, I hear a lot of this with kids now. Like, I was just in Tucson, and I heard some family members with kids in high school, and they're saying, "Oh, you don't need a college." Yeah, you don't. There's true. You don't need a college degree to be successful. But what extra are you going to do to make sure that you are that much more successful without a college degree? It's much more difficult. It's like, or do you have a mentor? Do you have someone who's going to show you how to run a business? Do you have someone who's going to show you how to budget books and gain inventory and track and control? Do you even know how to manage a bank account? And then they're like, oh, my mom has my bank book. I'm like, fuck. I mean, what am I going to do with this?
And see, it's up to us. I don't want to take too much of your time either, but it's
I'm here all day, man.
It's got nothing. It's like this, Jason. Gosh, our parents, we love them. They're the best things to mom and dad, my mom and dad, your parents. We have beautiful parents.
Yeah, family.
We come from the traditional way, Jason, where one thing our parents don't teach us is how to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
They teach us
how to work.
Go to school.
Yeah.
They teach us how to be good workers.
Yeah.
Get a good job. Go get a retirement. And that's fine for people. I'm not saying think I'm some hot shit. That's fine. But you know what?
They don't know about
it's up
money.
to you to go out there and say, I'm going to take it beyond. I want to be financially secured.
Yes. And financially secure doesn't mean that you have a 401k. It means you're making enough money to battle inflation in 60 years.
I'm talking the big picture here, not just, I probably should stop there, but it's just...
No, you just keep on going. I mean, it's true.
They teach us how to be a good worker. God bless them. We love them. That's from that era of things.
Right.
It's up to us, once again. We have to take that... Yeah, we have to push it and not be afraid. We're taught to be good workers and just,
keep your head down. Don't make no trouble.
You know what?
Keep your job. And it's true. You have to do those things when you're in that... I mean, I work a regular industry job. I get along with everybody, even if I don't particularly like people, right? I get along with everybody. I work with everybody. And not because I have to, but because that's my job, right? Yeah. I have a job to do, and I do it very well. I've always done it well. But yeah, then being an entrepreneur, being a business owner.
See, we have jobs.
Taking risks.
Job, just over broke, just over budget. Job, J-O-B.
Exactly.
We're taught to be wimps. Where is my paycheck?
Exactly. And I've lived that life now for a long time. I mean, I was fortunate enough to get a job that gave me disposable income for a long time.
Yeah.
For like the last 10 years. It's been really nice. And then mariachi music is just okay, well, let's go order lobster. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll order 2 of them. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I wish all the success to all our fellow mariachis.
Yes.
I'm real particular, and I know I'm being a pain in the butt, but you know what? You wear the same traje that I do. It might be brown, mine might be black, but we're the same. It's just like being police officers. We're all the same.
All the same. We deserve and should command the same level of respect.
Exactly. So you know what? Take care of yourself. Look good.
Yeah.
I want to look good because I want you to feel good too. That I'm giving it my best, and there's not enough of that.
No.
And so. I don't know. I can go on and on, but it's been awesome talking, man.
It's been a great talk. We have to do another one of these, man. And I mean, I've done. I think I started doing this last year. Exactly.
This is great. I like it. You do a good job.
The open forum. So see, we talk about education. So the one thing about education, right? I went to Pueblo High School in the early 2000s. They had a magnet program, and they still do, I think, for the arts. I hear a lot of crazy shit on the news and the media these days about cutting back. Well, do you really need calculus? Fuck yes, you do. Okay. Do you really need arts and media and writing? Yes, you do, because this kid went through a magnet program where they did arts, media, radio, film, music, math, and science. That's what they had at Pueblo. So if you were good at math, if you were good at chemistry, it didn't matter what you look like.
Nice.
You could be in those classes. If you want to do radio, multimedia, production, how I learned how to do all of this. Sound editing.
That's nice.
I was in the radio program there, and so what happens when you're in these programs, guys? People, now I look at this, I'm like, shit, now I'm that person. They go mentor you. They teach you how to do things, right? So I had a mentor. He was Dwayne Chavez. He's one of the hip-hop, DJs for 98.3 in Tucson, right? The only hip-hop station in Tucson, basically. Well, we had a connection with them because we were the only high school radio program. So naturally, what do you think happens? They're going to start picking their kids to come be mentees. So he would teach me how to do interviews. Like, here's how you interview a guest. Here's how you don't want to just speak with your normal speaking voice and like you're in an office setting. That shit is boring. He's like, you want to have some sort of liveliness and some sort of, but not fake. You don't want to do that. Hey guys, in the radio, get that shit out of here. That doesn't that 90s rock DJ doesn't work. Like, you have to find your personality. You have to know what you're about. You have to know who you are. And you're like, fuck, I gotta figure out who I am as a teenager. And like, yeah, you do. Because guess what? Guess what's next? College, job, apprentice,
the real world.
Real world. Yeah. You're gonna have to figure out who the fuck you are to tackle that stuff. And just thankfully, and I, to my teachers at Pueblo, to Johnny Contreras, he was one of my mentors. He taught me a lot of stuff. He talked to you just straight up, like, don't be an idiot. Don't do this. Don't do that. Do this. Do that. He just set you straight from the get go, right? Cool. We're all a bunch of dumb fucking 17-year-old kids playing guitar trying to get laid. It was really awful. It was a bad scene. None of us were successful. Not to varying degrees of success, maybe. But when I went to the U of A, I was super fish out of water. I'm a 6'1" big Latino-looking kid, and I didn't realize that there's a whole other world. And so you got to talk to business counselors. You got to talk to your college advisors. You got to talk to RAs. You got to talk to people from the East Coast. You got to compete with kids whose families got money. Money, right? They don't got to worry about when they're going to eat. They don't got to even worry about a job. They're like, I got a job waiting for me. All I got to do is pass this class. Yeah. What do I care? You got to deal with that. So if you don't have a personality and you can't stand out, you can't make the grades, you can't make the impressions, you can't do the interviews well, you can't write resumes, you can't do plans. You got to learn that shit. I see a lot of kids that are just lost. Yeah. They have no concept of that. I had a concept of how to do that when I was 17 years old. By the time I was 18, I'm ready to go. Let's get me there, right? Yeah. I don't see that too much these days.
Well, good. Well, it's up to us, Jason, to kind of help salvage the pieces to make sure that they get there. We got a lot of good young blood out there, and it's just like, I'm going to relate back to police work. I remember another person saying, one of our sergeants saying, we need old cops to kind of teach us how to keep in mind on how we should do things too, from the old school things. I
like the old school.
Yeah,
the old school works.
Yeah, we need older mariachis to kind of pass that torch to our youngsters, right, to make sure that they understand the culture, the sound, the discipline.
Keep the bullshit out of it. Yeah,
and just quit talking trash, and let's just all roll together. Let's love each other and just have fun with the music. We've got this beautiful gift once again. When it's we're musicians, we're artists. We're not the Olympics. We're got to compete.
We're not competing. I do know some folks now doing this podcast in Phoenix and in Tucson. They're interested in that. They're like, we're tired of the same old. I'm like, yeah, well, there's work to be done, right? And there's ways to do things, and you want to go after venues, you want to go after promoters, you want to book gigs, you want to be on people's call sheets. There's work, and there's a lot of unpaid work too, unfortunately. You got to hustle. You got to have rehearsal, right? We don't live in LA or New York or Boston where I can pay you for rehearsal. This is not the standard here. So if you want to stand out, you want to, quit playing the backyard gigs, you want to quit playing the talon quinceañeras, there's work to be done. Yes, sir. You can't forget that shit though. You got to be able to play those things, but there's work to be done. Nando,
Jason,
thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I don't know what we were talking about, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I hope I made sense. I hope I didn't piss anybody off. And
I'm sure we did. But this has been a lot of fun. I like doing this. I actually got 2 more booked this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I gotta drink some extra coffee, maybe get a couple extra hours of sleep, and I'll be right on point.
Good for you. Look forward to hearing those.
Absolutely. Hopefully do some more traveling. Maybe who knows what will happen. I gotta practice. I just healed up a shoulder injury, so now I can actually. I know when you told me that story about your finger, I'm like, fuck, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I'm serious. I got jacked up hands and
damn, I can't
20
imagine.
years. Oh man,
I can't imagine. Like I have nightmares about shit like that.
And I'm in pain. I try not to show it. It's just horrible. That's why I preach. Do something else to have something to fall on, because if you hit hurt,
you gotta have this. Yeah. You gotta have it. Nando, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody,
it was a pleasure.
PlayMariachi viewers out there, thank you for the support and for watching the podcast. And we're sorry if we offended or pissed off anybody, but that's just the way it goes. So
we love you.
We love you guys. Later.
Cool.